right, today we're going to be talking about the comprehension strategy called compare and contrast. So when we talk about comparing two different books, we're going to talk about how they are alike. And when we talk about contrast, we're going to tell how they're different. And at the end of the story, we're going to use a Venn diagram to tell how one book and another book compare to each other. So in the middle, we're going to say how they are alike, and then each one of their circles is going to tell how they are different. So we're going to have a book on this side and a book on this side, and in the middle, we're going to say how they're alike, and then underneath each book, we're going to say how they're different. So we're going to start with this book called A Color of His Own. Parrots are green. Goldfish are red. Elephants are gray. Pigs are pink. All animals have a color of their own. Except for chameleons. They change color wherever they go. Whatever they're on, that's what color they change. Yellow, green, blue, purple. On lemons, they are yellow. In the heather, they are purple. And on tigers, they are striped like tigers. How would you like to change colors every time you step onto something different? It might be fun at first, but after a while, it'd probably get old. One day, a chameleon who was sitting on a tiger's tail said to himself, "If I remain on a leaf, I shall be green forever, and so I too will have a color of my own." Do you think that's true? Do you think that if he stays on a green leaf, it'll stay green forever? I don't know. With the seasons, normally the tree changes colors, so let's find out. With this thought, he cheerfully climbed on the greenest leaf. But in autumn, the leaf turned yellow, and so did the chameleon. Later, the leaf turned red, and the chameleon turned red too. And then the winter winds blew the leaf from the branch, and with it, the chameleon. The chameleon was black in the long winter night. But when spring came, he walked out onto the green grass, and there he met another chameleon. He told his sad story. "Won't we ever have a color of our own?" he asked. "He's sad." "I'm afraid not," said the other chameleon, who was older and wiser. "But," he added, "why don't we stay together? We will still change color wherever we go, but you and I will always be alike." And so they remained side by side. They were green together. They were purple and yellow and red with white polka dots. And they lived happily ever after. Because finally he was able to share his color with somebody. So they ended up very happy. Let's see if how this other book is alike and different. We will compare and contrast this book, The Mixed Up Chameleon, with the book called A Color of His Own. Okay? So the Mixed Up Chameleon. On a shiny green leaf sat a small green chameleon. It moved onto a brown tree and turned brownish. Then it rested on a red flower and turned reddish. When the chameleon moved slowly across the yellow sand, it turned yellowish. It could hardly see it. Okay, the chameleons are changing colors just like in the other book. Every time they step onto something else, they change colors. When the chameleon was warm and had something to eat, it turned sparkling green. When it was cold and hungry, it turned gray and dull. When the chameleon was hungry, it sat still and waited. Only his eyes moved up and down and sideways till it spotted a fly. Then the chameleon's long and sticky tongue shot out and caught the fly. That was its life. It was not very exciting. But one day, the chameleon saw a zoo. It had never seen so many beautiful animals. An elephant, a giraffe, a deer, a fox, all sorts of animals. The chameleon thought, "How small I am. How slow, how weak. I wish I could be big and white like a polar bear." And the chameleon's wish came true. But was it happy? No. I wish I could be handsome like a flamingo. Now it has legs like a flamingo and wings. I wish I could be smart like a fox. Got a fox's tail. I wish I could swim like a fish. And he grew flippers like a fish. I wish I could run like a deer. He has antlers like a deer. I wish I could see things far away like a giraffe. So he got a long neck like a giraffe. I wish I could hide in a shell like a turtle. He got a turtle shell. Oh my goodness, I wish I could be strong like an elephant. Now he has a head of an elephant. I wish I could be funny like a seal. Now he has flippers. I don't know, he's looking pretty silly to me. Do you think he's happy? Me neither. Let's find out. I wish I could be like people. Oh, he has his umbrella and his top hat. Just then a fly flew by. The chameleon was very hungry, but the chameleon was also very mixed up. He was a little of this and a little of that, and he couldn't catch the fly. I wish I could be myself. The chameleon's wish came true, and it caught the fly. The end. Do you think he was happy at the end to be himself again? I think so too. Okay. So now we're going to draw a Venn diagram. We're going to do 2 circles. One circle here, and we're going to overlap them. So we have a spot in the middle where they both their circles overlap. Okay? And on one side, we're going to put the mixed up chameleon. And on the other side, we're going to put a color of his own. And in the middle, we're going to talk about both books. So let's talk about how the books are alike right now. Okay, they are both about chameleons. The mixed up chameleon and a color of his own. They're both about chameleons. Both chameleons in the book change colors. When they move on to something a different color, they change that color. So chameleons, if they were to hop on a green leaf, they'll turn green. If they were going to go onto the brown ground, they would turn brown. And both chameleons, they weren't happy with themselves. In a color of his own, he wanted to stop changing colors. He wanted to have his own color all the time. And in the mixed up chameleon, he thought he had a boring life and he wanted to be a lot of different animals. So they both ended up at the beginning where they weren't very happy with themselves. But by the end, the mixed up chameleon was very happy to just be himself. He was able to eat. With the elephant trunk, he wasn't able to eat his favorite meal of flies. And in a color of his own, he finally became happy when he was able to have the same color as a friend. So even though he still changed colors, he was able to have the same color as someone else, so it still made him happy. Okay? And then in the mixed chameleon hat, he wasn't happy with the way his life was. His life was boring, he said, so he wanted to be a little bit of this animal and a little bit of that animal. So he was mixed up because he wasn't happy with his life. He wanted to be more interesting. So he went to the zoo and he said, I wanted to be a little bit of an elephant. I want to be a little bit of a fox. I want to be a little bit of a giraffe. So his wish came true and he was very mixed up. And at the end, he ended up just wanting to be himself because he could eat a fly that way. He can't eat a fly when he's an elephant. And then a color of his own. In this book, the chameleon wanted to have his own color. So he found a friend to stay with, finally, who was a wiser chameleon, who told him, how about we just stick together? And at least if we can't have our own color, we can change colors together. So we will always be the same color together. And he was happy because he had a friend that he was able to look like. Okay, so this is how we do a Venn diagram. On one side, we tell just about this book. On the other side, we tell just about this book. And it's how they are different from each other. So how they are contrast. And in the middle, we compare them to see how they are the same. Okay? So we compare them to see how they are the same and contrast them to see how they are different. And that's how a Venn diagram works.